y'all out there in the comments fucking wildin', and you got this all fucked up. This ain't a discussion. I'm telling you, women are capable of beating your fucking ass. And they have proven it many times throughout history. One of these women who literally spent every fucking waking day, from the time she got up to the time she went to bed, whipping men's fucking asses with weapons. Yeah, her name's Ella Hatton. She was born in 1859. We're talking about a woman who was not legally allowed to own property, who wasn't legally allowed to get divorced, who wasn't legally allowed to wear fucking pants. But you know what she did? She got on a fucking horse and beat a man so fucking hard, a man in the U.S. cavalry, by the way, so hard her sword bent backwards, and that man, his little bitch ass, got off his fucking horse and ran the fuck away. How about that shit? This woman trashed every motherfucker she fought, ever, fighting men the entire time. And back then, fencing wasn't like it is now. They fought to first blood. The first person to get blood on their blade, because they fought with live fucking blades. This woman was badder than any of the little bitch-made motherfuckers in the comments talking shit. She's badder than your dad. She'd whip your grandfather's ass. And she might have whipped your fucking grandfather's ass. So bear that in mind if you're an American. Your grandpa might have gotten his ass whipped by Ella Hatton. Now, the reason you don't know about Ella Hatton isn't because of misogyny, although it's easy to think that that might be the reason. Instead, it's because sports reporting at the time didn't really exist. This woman started competing in 1884 by challenging the greatest swordsman in the country who was not her teacher, Colonel Thomas Hoyer Monstry, who I'll talk about at some point because I've written about him at great length, and two of his students will be profiled in this thing after Ella Hatton. They actually predated her, but I wanted to start with Ella Hatton because she's a beast. So this woman beat every man she ever fought in fencing. As I said, live bladed weapons, and these things happened. The fencing matches would happen in 3 different rounds. They would generally do one with blades, one with some kind of a staff or a cudgel or something like that, and then oftentimes they would have a third round that was with hands, but they also went with weapons in that as well. So you could fight with anything from like a dagger and a sword to a buckler and a sword, a broadsword. They had all different kinds of things that were in there, rapiers, things like that, but it was not like fencing that you see now. And her teacher taught her not to fight like modern fencers fight. He hated that shit because nobody would thrust at the same time. Like, nobody's trying to die at the same time as the other person. It doesn't make any sense. But if you see modern fencing, it's just they're just trying to get it in there as fast as they possibly can. He actually, at 62, beat a man nearly to death in a bar over the fact that this guy had been teaching people to do that and had kept doing it and had been cheating in fencing competitions. At 62, her teacher was still going. Ella Hatton was going till the moment she fucking died. She was famous for nearly killing a man in the streets because he tried to rob her, and then she was asked why she didn't, because she just delivered him to the cops. And she was like, I'm not trying to catch a fucking charge. Like, this woman was the hardest person that you've ever heard of. And her teacher might have been the only person on the planet who could have beaten her with weapons. Now, at 5'8", 200 pounds, there weren't many men who could beat her with their hands, I don't imagine, because not many men were built for that shit. Her strength coach, however, William Miller, was an Australian all-around games champion. He was a wrestling champion, a boxing champion, but he was known as like a strongman and a performing strongman. He's the one who was the strength coach with Monstry, and that's who she had as her strength coach. So that 5'8", 200 wasn't fat. This broad could go. And so I want to really lay to rest the idea that women can't fight, because I'm going to profile these women. But as I said, there was really very little sports reporting. So it's, at the time, it's very hard to find information about athletes of any stripe. And when you did have things like muscular Christianity and then the later movements like the anti-suffrage movement and all that stuff. I mean, like, Ella Hatton couldn't vote, but she could stab you to fucking death, and she could stab your brother to death at the same time. Like, that's crazy, but this is the world they lived in. And not only that, but like, so if you're a woman at the time, you don't just have to like get over the fact that you're like now illegally wearing pants to fight in this sport. You are also, you're dropping all of these strictures, and you've literally been locked in this corset your whole life. It's this steel thing that you're basically, it's choking you. It's squashed all their fucking organs. So like people did x-rays later on in life, and their organs were all fucked up. Their bones were all fucked up. Like, and and they couldn't take deep breaths, which is why they would get the vapors and fucking pass out. Plus, they were wearing tons of fucking clothing, layer on layer of fucking clothing. They had this thing called a bustle sticking off their ass. It was just like a big ass fake ass filled with horsehair. It was like the Kim Kardashian ass implants of the 1800s. Even fucking, I can't even believe that shit's happening, but just fucking squat, right? But Colonel Monstre's people, they fucking squatted. And this woman was always ready to go. By the time, I think it was 15 years into her career, she couldn't find anybody else to fight. She was going around offering $150,000 in modern money to anyone who could, anyone could defeat her. Nobody would even take the challenge because she had beaten everyone, including two very, very prominent fights, one of which was broadcast in a paper, and it made her famous, but it also announced all the fucking, like, fake-ass, poser-ass, buster-ass, fucking bitch-made red pills out there. Like, I'm not going to fucking fight this broad because she will kill me. And so she couldn't find anybody to fight. So she started teaching, she started a finishing school for women, which is dope because she was teaching these women to be liberated, badass women who could fucking fight, but they also knew how to read and sing because she was a comedian as well. She was touring on vaudeville while she was running this finishing school, and she was used as a comic foil instead of like some, you'd expect. She kind of was like a Gina Carano kind of thing, and I guess, yeah, without all the red pill bullshit, but she and because she did like softcore porn and other stuff that made her very. People of that era, like the lifters and fighters of that era, were all very, very liberal. There was not like there wasn't even a thought of like trying to be conservative because the life that they were living was so counterculture and so opposed to conservatism, and it was so embracing progression and modern technology and all these new things that it was completely antithetical. It would have been like having your foot on the gas and the brake at the same time. But anyway, so then she just kind of faded into obscurity because by 1909, everybody had kind of forgotten what was going on. It's kind of like the early internet now. Like, people, like, some of us remember the memes and shit, but like, there's no real record of it, if that makes sense. And so that's kind of what you're dealing with. By the time she died around or she might have died sometime after 1909, but that's the last record we have of her. But like, things had kind of moved on, and also those papers, if you pick them up, they don't really make much sense. It's kind of like looking at if somebody printed out your Facebook feed. That's basically what the news was then. They hardly ever had any names in the thing. They would just give like initials from this place and did this thing, and then they give no more information. So it was all clickbait. It was weird as fuck. But anyway, that's why you haven't heard of these women, but I'm going to fix that because it's crazy that you haven't heard of these women, and it's also fucking insane to see these comments. And I realize, again, from the comments that some of y'all motherfuckers are still going, nah, there's no way this girl could be fucking these people up. There's no way a woman could have defeated 60 dudes in sword fighting. There's no fucking way. They're not strong enough. They're not this. They're not that. Well, let me just explain this to you. My man right here, Colonel Thomas Hoyer Monstry, knows more than you about anything at all having to do with fighting. Not only, and I misspoke before, it was 52 to 61 duels that he fought, somewhere in there, killed 2 people, won all the duels, and he also fought in so many conflicts. He fought under 12 different flags. 12 different countries he fought for because he was a fucking freedom fighter. Like, forget Chris Kyle, forget all that shit. Like, only Garibaldi can hold a fucking candle to this man when it comes to being a world traveler, adventurer, revolutionary, democratic man. This man, though, at 5'6", 135, fought in 12 different conflicts at least 12 different conflicts under 12 different flags on 3 different continents. He fought in the Siege of Veracruz. He fought for Denmark, Russia, the U.S., Nicaragua, Cuba, Colombia, Spain, Honduras, El Salvador, Costa Rica, Guatemala, and Mexico. He even fought in the fucking Polish, in the Polish Revolution. Like, he fought in the Hungarian Revolution of 1848. Like, he fought everywhere. He knew everything there was to know about fucking fighting. And when he got to the U.S., when he came here, he wanted to teach a couple of things. One, he wanted everybody to learn how to swim because nobody knew how to swim at the time. It's a very important thing to do, and it's also a very important exercise, he thought. Like, he thought it was really like the ultimate exercise. You'll see a lot of fighters do that. Like, they really, really believe hard in like getting in the pool because it's a full body and aerobic exercise. And it, like, I personally don't like swimming, but it's probably something I need to do. But knowing how to swim is an essential survival technique, and he really wanted everyone in America to know it. Men, women, all different colors. It didn't matter. He trained everybody, and the second thing he wanted everybody to know is that women can fucking go. You can see the quotes right here. The man coached women constantly. He wasn't just the best duelist. He wasn't just the best swordsman. He wasn't just the best mercenary. He was also the only motherfucker was teaching women at the time because he was the only one who saw what they could do. He didn't give a fuck about what everybody else said about him, because I'm sure they were talking the same shit about him. He was 5'6", 135 pounds. It wasn't like he was coming out there just this big, strong motherfucker. So he knew how to teach these people because he taught a lightweight he coached a lightweight amateur boxer into knocking out the heavyweight champion of the world in the gym. Jem Mace trashed him. All of his fighters could fucking go, and he knew that he could get the little ones to fucking go even harder than or the little ones could go even harder than the big ones at sometimes. But then he brought in the bruiser, William Miller, to teach the fucking heavy shit. Get in there, get fucking metal. And so he brought the light, bouncy, real quick style that he had, along with the fact that he knew every fucking fighting style on the planet. I learned so many fighting styles from reading this man's book, which I recommend you buy. Ben Miller wrote the book. It's fantastic. I think he has an Instagram page. He doesn't seem to be contactable, but so Monstery was the man. He knew every fucking weapon at the time. He knew rapier, dagger, broadsword, bowie knife, lance, bayonet, and quarterstaff. And all of these things went into fencing at the time. And that was the third thing he wanted everybody to know. He wanted everybody to know how to defend themselves. Like, this is a man, like I said, who taught people how to battle the plug uglies in Baltimore because he hated those motherfuckers so much. And even after he left, William Miller he retired there, probably just out there choking motherfuckers and smashing their heads into walls because he didn't play that shit either. And these guys were two of the most legitimate strength and fitness and fighting minds and fists in the fucking world at the time, and they both co-signed the fact that women can fucking go. So let's not fucking play like they can't. I'm gonna keep coming with it. You're gonna keep eating it. Let's fucking do this. History's fucking dope. Go to plagueofstrength.com to get all this dope shit and more.